Good day and thanks for tuning in. You are watching the season premiere of Local Matters on your TV, truly local television. Our studios are not quite just ready for our production, and we'll have to still go through the contract rider that my co-host with the most, and that ain't no boast, is making his demands, like, red colored M&Ms and
No,
everything
no, no,
else.
no, no,
And we
no.
haven't seen each other for a while, so
It's no
without further
brown
ado,
M&Ms. It's no brown M&Ms. Get it right.
oh, brown M&Ms. Okay.
If you're going to make fun of my writer. Now, very funny story. Do you know why they actually put that in their contract writer? They wanted to see if people actually read it. So they would know if they had brown M&Ms, they didn't really read the contract writer. That's that's a true wonderful story. So welcome to the Taylor's version of Local Matters. We are in Toronto. Last night was the first night of the Taylor Swift concerts. I'm going next week. I've got my friendship bracelets and everything all here ready to go. And hey, the biggest star in the world is coming to Toronto for 6 nights. And the amazing thing is, when she goes into any city, she actually increases the gross domestic product of that city. That's how
Oh,
much
absolutely. The
economic impact she has. And
the day before, you saw the news had the clips of the people lined up outside the Rogers Center just for merchandise,
well, that's why
and they
I
were
bought
walked
mine
all the way
online.
around. You
I
can go
wasn't
all the
going
way
down to
around the
see it.
building, and
Yeah.
and you can see just how many people. And they were interviewing some people. I think it was on CP24. One of the girls just broke into tears because she got a sweater.
Yeah.
Imagine what's going to happen if she goes to the concert.
Well, and also like they were talking to people on the news outlets. They were from they had somebody there from Wisconsin, North Carolina. They had flown in from Europe to actually come to Toronto to see the show in the hotel rooms. It's just great. It's just great to see because hey, that's an economic boost we need. And don't we all need some good news? And I'm getting tremendous glare from my glasses, so I'll be blind instead and take them off.
Yeah, we're still, like I said, in our Zoom environments, and hopefully the studios at the worldwide headquarters of Your TV Halton will be up and running soon. We'll get our Chris, our producer extraordinaire, to give us an update on that. But yeah, welcome back. We've had a great summer. There was lots of great things that happened. Our Canada Day celebrations, most recently, Remembrance Day ceremonies at our local cenotaphs. Thanks to everybody who came out in the dripping rain on the Sunday in Milton at the town of Milton Cenotaph. It was a beautiful ceremony, as always, honoring our veterans throughout Halton Region for throughout all the wars and currently serving.
Well, and the ones who serve in peacetime as well. So in Acton, the service on Saturday was so well attended. It was such a big crowd. And Monday, our producer extraordinaire Chris was there as well to tape the Acton service, the smaller cenotaph service that they do on Remembrance Day itself. Sunday in the Glen, the service was cut a little short because of that rain. But again, another one very well attended. The Georgetown service was. The interesting thing you see around in Halton Hills at all three cenotaphs is a local resident has been making poppies and tying them onto nets that are around all three of the cenotaphs, and it looks so nice. And this year they even added in ones for the animals who were service animals who were killed during combat and in the name of peace. So it was so nice to see as well.
Absolutely beautiful, and as always, we do our best to remember everybody who has served and is serving in our service. Um, Not to keep a gloomy feel to the beginning part of the show, but I know that Halton Hills has had a few things happen, and one was the old Hyde House,
Yes.
which came as a shock to many of us who have visited and shopped there over the years. But I know you have a close uh,
My
relationship
family
with them.
does. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
my family does. So my brother was one of the first employees who was hired to help do the renovation when it went from being a warehouse to the old Hyde House. And he did the renovation in there for quite a while as they were getting opened and worked there for a number of years. My sister was the assistant manager. I think every niece and nephew of mine worked there at one time, as well as I did on more than one occasion. But the Hyde House is just, the changing market. At one time, they had the signs in there that said 90% of their product were Canadian made. And we all know now that in Canada, there's very few leather that is made in Canada. It's all made overseas and shipped in. The coats are made overseas. But it really, the Dawkins family really had this vision for that building. And Steve Dawkins was an absolutely brilliant person, a tremendous marketer. And the tagline, "It's worth the drive to Acton," was one of his creations. I've traveled all over the world, Mike. And when I tell people I'm from Acton, and I usually do, they
Mhm.
will say, "Oh, it's worth the drive to Acton." I've been shocked where I've heard that in other parts of the world, had people say that back to me and across the country as well. So it is, they're doing the liquidation now. And the store's changed over the last 15 years. It's now owned by a company out of Montreal, and they don't do the advertising and the promotion like what they used to. So I will say, if you're going in and you're going shopping, here are two tips. Number one, try to go in Monday to Friday. It's not as busy. Number two, remember the staff you're dealing with, some of them have been there for 20 or 30 years. They're going to be out of a job shortly after
Mhm.
Christmas. So, in my famous words, be kind, be kind, be kind. Remember that when you go in, because for the staff, it'll be a difficult time as well. So, that's the first one, Mike. And, the Hyde House at one time owned every property around the building because they were using it for office space. They had the bookstore, they had the Timbry, the tea house was there, Weatherby's was around the corner. They had the clearance center over in what's now the old Foodland store. If I say that to an Actonian, they'll know what I mean. They had Flightline Leather downtown, and they preserved a lot of history and really worked with the Air Force to be able to save some of the history and have some of those items on display. So it will be a loss when it's gone. What would I like to see in that building? I would love to see a St. Jacobs type market. And if I had, I think it could be such a building for something like that. A couple small restaurants and shops and a bit of
Oh
warehousing
yeah.
at the side.
I think that would be a perfect fit, a perfect
Oh,
idea for that
well,
building.
Mike, between you and I, we're only short about 5 million to be able to do that.
Gotta check my wallet, but yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, I did check the cushions of the couch before I came up and I found a button and $1.78. So I even found pennies. What are they doing? That tells you how often I check my sofa cushions. The other loss we had in Halton Hills is we lost a true icon in Halton Hills was Reverend Peter Barrow, and the service was last week, and I was one of the speakers at the service. Peter Barrow came to Halton Hills in the early 70s as the minister for the Georgetown Presbyterian Church and Limehouse Presbyterian Church. He dove into the community. He was involved in the Rotary Club, the Lions Club. He was Shriner. He was a Mason. He was involved with Eastern Star. He was a Padre for the Legion. He was the Padre and chaplain for the Halton Hills Fire Department before there was a Halton Hills with the Georgetown Fire Department, Halton Regional Police, the Air Cadets, the Scouts. Everything he was asked to be involved with, he served as the Padre for. And man, what a service. It was such a nice service to hear these people talking about his involvement. And the amazing thing is, every night, Peter would be home for dinner with his family before he would go out at night. And hearing that story, because he was involved in so much, I don't know how he was ever home, but they're two big losses for our community. And Peter will be remembered fondly by everybody that he interacted with. He touched the lives of so many. He married people. A quick story, Mike, and you know me, I'd never tell quick stories.
No,
See,
no,
Mike?
these stories are so nice to hear because it reaffirms what people have
Yes.
thought about
Yeah.
him over the years,
Yeah.
and that story about being home for your with his family for dinner each and every time. That's heart touching, but that
It's
just shows his
heartwarming.
character.
It's heartwarming. Yeah. And Peter, I went and I posted on the Masonic Lodge where he joined in Scotland, right? In the early 60s, he joined. He was a 62 years as a Freemason. And people said he married my wife's parents in 1969. He was good friends of the family. He flew over in 2001 to do my wife's and my wedding. So, just hearing that story is where he baptized the daughter and did the grandchildren and all that. just hearing those stories is so heartwarming. And, nowadays when we don't always hear those types of stories.
No, truly one of a kind. And as you mentioned before, when you told me about his passing, it was just one of those shocking things that the community's not going to have a Peter Burrell around anymore. But
No,
his
no, they
legacy
won't.
definitely lives on.
Yeah, and the ceremony was so beautiful that when they were done, they had the firefighters were his pallbearers. They had the honor guard during the whole service. And when they went out, they put his casket on the back of a 1926 Bickle fire truck that the Active Firefighter Association has, because it was one of his wishes was that the firefighters be his pallbearers and he ride to the cemetery on the back of the fire truck. And we had an impressive lineup of all the firefighters from Melton, Halton Hills, Halton Regional Police, EMS, retired, current, former fire chiefs, all lining up to salute him as he went by for the final time, and then paying their respects that way. It was so beautiful to see. It was very heartwarming on a difficult day when you're saying goodbye to an icon like that. And we all have them, these people who are deeply ingrained in our community. And Peter was truly a unique fellow.
Again, it's a piece of the community that's going to be sorely missed over the years. So, Peter, we'll join with a salute to you as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now,
And
Mike, now what do we have coming up on the second half of the show? Because I know we're probably going to be running up to a break. And you notice I get paid by the word, so I get paid 10 times as much as Mike because he hasn't really said much today.
no, I wanted you to tell me the stories. These it's Halton Hills. It's your touch in the community as well. We've got a lot of a couple events that are coming up in our community. We have throughout Halton Hills and lots of stuff coming up. So after this break, we'll be right back with our get your day planners out, get everything ready, and we'll be back right after these messages on Local Matters, your TV Halton, which is truly local television.